Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm really excited to introduce this new series that we have here at Kennesaw State University in the Norman J. Rideout College of Humanities and Social Sciences. This is our 365 days of learning and service. Every year, we're going to dedicate a year of learning and service of our students, faculty, and staff to a topic that is incredibly important for the social welfare of our communities and our citizens. And this year's topic is housing insecurity and the unhoused. I want to welcome and introduce a number of speakers, and I'll do this for all of the speakers, and then we'll move on to our remarks. So today we're welcoming Dr. Chris Hess. He's an assistant professor of sociology, and he's also a member of our 365 steering committee. Aaron Goldman is one of the founders and chairperson for Open Doors Atlanta and president and co-owner of Perennial Properties, and he will speak today as well. Amy Barrow is Senior Director of Homelessness and Community Engagement at the United Way. We also acknowledge a number of visitors, including our faculty members, staff, and students of the Honors College. This includes Chris Hess, Meredith Jin, Carol Lee Larson, Dan Niederjohn, Adrian Williamson. Thank you for your participation in this important topic. I'd also like to recognize Marcy Stidham, from KSU Cares. Many thanks to the Honors College and Karen for welcoming us here today and sharing your beautiful space. Today we also recognize the Office of Economic Development and Community Engagement and the panel immediately following this event, which happens to coincide with this year's topic and right out. Today we are officially launching the new initiative, the 365 Days of Service and Learning. Our goal is to bring together students, faculty, and staff, as I noted, to reflect on contemporary issues that face our community and our citizens. This program also allows us as a college to go beyond research and study and put into practice what we learn throughout the year into service opportunities that expand our impact in the community. By connecting service and learning, we demonstrate the critical relevance of the social sciences and humanities for our communities. Again, this year's topic is housing insecurity and the experience of being unhoused. I invite the speakers to share a bit about this topic today. And first I welcome Dr. Chris Hess, Assistant Professor of Sociology and the 365 Steering Committee members.
As a member of the steering committee for the 365 Days of Learning and Service, I just want to start by thanking you for being here this morning as we kick off what is no doubt a crucial way for KSU to be actively engaged with an increasingly important issue in our community. Nationwide, typical housing costs have increased by over 25% over the last few decades, all while incomes have stagnated in real terms among the working and middle class. And prevalence of housing cost burden, which is indicated by a household spending more than 30% of one's income towards housing costs, stands at almost half of all renters, with important disproportionality in terms of people of color facing this household unaffordability situation to a greater degree. People are facing unaffordable housing on a more persistent basis too, spending 30 or even 50% of their income on rent for years at a time. And this means folks are making trade-offs to what they eat, what health care they receive, and how they invest, including in their own and their children's education. In response, families are increasingly doubling up in a single housing unit or overcrowding a family in a small dwelling as less than ideal but necessary trade-offs to stay sheltered and avoid the economic burden of unaffordable rents. Overall, these unstable conditions can lead to stress and disadvantages to children's well-being and other outcomes, and this is especially concerning given the time that households are spending in unstable housing conditions, and this being more cumulative. In the most extreme cases even, these different forms of housing instability lead to periods of either being evicted or even unsheltered, and this is an especially marginalizing outcome that research has consistently shown factors into households remaining impoverished and housing unstable over a longer period of time. Importantly, these housing issues are acute in the Atlanta area, where rents have been soaring above the national average trends and housing prices have recently become unaffordable for many families. This is partially due to the metro area's current status as a magnet for folks moving from other parts of the country as well as the world, but it's notably also due to other non-demographic factors like Wall Street investment capital pouring into previously working and middle-class neighborhoods, quickly raising rents in turn. By some studies measures, the Atlanta area ranks among the highest for the prevalence of this sort of institutional investment activity in the single-family rental market, with these institutional landlords being especially prominent among suburbs like Cobb County. Moreover, the city of Atlanta itself is among the fastest gentrifying cities in the nation, with the rising housing costs and other displacement pressures within the city increasingly making housing insecurity and homelessness suburban issues, including here in Cobb County. The relevance of this issue in our local area is why the 365 Days of Learning and Service initiative here at KSU is focused on housing insecurity, and it is such an important way to engage our research and our teaching with the community around us. One notable form this will take is through service learning courses that faculty of different departments have crafted specifically for this initiative. For example, I will be leading a course focused on approaching issues related to housing from a sociological perspective, where students will learn about recent research related to housing problems like eviction, while also contributing directly to research aimed at helping the Cherokee County Homeless Veterans Program provide unsheltered veterans with safe shelter and access to resources for healthcare, employment, and other unmet needs. By complementing discussions about research with hands-on service to housing nonprofits and other community partners, our classes participating in the initiative will be crucial ways for students to not only understand the significance of being unsheltered, but also to help to reduce this problem in our community. The other initiatives of the 365 Days of Learning and Service encompass efforts like the Hoot Out Hunger food drive that is currently going on, as well as a student speaker panel discussing personal experiences of being housing insecure, a speaker panel of authors specifically on research about homelessness and other housing insecurity topics, and even a hygiene kit drive for unsheltered women, and a number of different volunteer efforts specifically on the KSU Day of Service itself. Throughout these avenues, we hope to engage our CHSS faculty, students, and staff to reflect on how housing insecurity has many causes and consequences, to discuss what the unmet needs are among unsheltered persons in our community, and to serve our community in ways that help those who may be housing insecure or unstable. In closing, thank you again for being here this morning. Together, we are supporting the beginning of what will be an important and lasting way for KSU to engage and impact our local community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. We are so excited that Chris joined us this year in the Department of Sociology and that his research commitments align with this year's topic. Next, I'd like to introduce Aaron Goldman. He's the founder, one of the founders and board chairman of Open Doors Atlanta, and president and co-owner of Perennial Properties. Please welcome Aaron.
Good morning, and thank you. It was really inspiring to be at Kennesaw State this morning to see everybody building the minds of our future leaders. Really exciting to be part of this at the Norman J. Radout College, because Norman was one of the earliest supporters and donors to Open Doors when it was merely an idea. So I'm going to give you a little background on what that idea was. In 2011, we were coming out of a really, really bad economic crisis. And a lot of us apartment developers had a lot of time on our hands because there wasn't a lot of development going on. And I'm a bicyclist, and I have been involved in various nonprofits serving youth since I started work in Chicago in the Cabrini Green housing projects in 1991, and worked at an organization on the board of Cool Girls here in Atlanta, working on an empowerment program for at-risk girls in the community. And I did a bicycle ride. It's called the airport ride, where you ride from, say, Inman Park through downtown, come out the west side of downtown, head towards the airport, which is why it's called the airport ride. But during that part of coming through the west side of downtown, really where the state capitol and city hall are, I noticed that while the economy had been getting better by 2011, it had not been getting better for folks experiencing homelessness. They were on the sidewalks wrapping 4 or 5 churches, going around the blocks for 4x4, like they were standing in line for a Coldplay concert. And I realized that this wasn't working. And I reached out to a friend of mine who was a board chair of another housing nonprofit, And he said, I'm going to connect you to the head of Regional Commission on Homelessness at the United Way. His name is Pratik Biswa, one of Amy's partners. She's going to be speaking next. And he said, if you get your colleagues from the apartment industry together, we're going to do a little bit of learning. So this is a really important part of what Dr. Hess is talking about. First, you have to learn what the problem is, right? And so turns out we started taking meetings with Pratik, but then we took meetings with hundreds of other experts in the field. And we came up with a lot of bad ideas, but one good idea that we came up with was creating a match.com for nonprofits who serve homeless consumers and connecting them to people who control affordable housing. And using technology and the same kinds of sales techniques we use in the apartment industry, for example, like when a landscaping company wants to work on getting scale in the metro area and they don't meet just with the property, they meet with the owners of the property, the owners who own 10 properties in the Atlanta area. And that's what Open Doors does, is Open Doors negotiates with the owners and managers of now 540 apartment complexes that participate in partnering with the nonprofits who do the case management and provide the necessary services to get individuals housing ready. And so this collaboration called Open Doors is now in its 10th year, and we have now housed, as of a month ago, 10,000 formerly homeless Atlantans. And so we're actually celebrating that accomplishment this year. And as you know, with the affordable housing challenges that Dr. Hess just shared with you, at any given time you'll hear a number like 3,000 people currently experiencing homelessness in core Atlanta. That number is much more like 10 or 12,000 when you talk about the metro area. But that number is a significant undercount of people who might be in a extended stay motel that was not designed for long-term habitability, or for people who are couch surfing on some friend or relative's place. The problem is actually so big that even before this affordability crisis, it was said that 20 to 25% of all Atlantans are one paycheck away from experiencing homelessness. So I want to be thoughtful about the time today, as we've got a short program here. This 365 day learning and service project really helps connect the academic to the street. And I'm really excited to be participating in it, and I'll be here to answer questions afterwards. So thank you. Oh, there's one thing I was asked to share with you, and I just want to. This is a typical case study of somebody that we deal with every day. Joyce is the receptionist of one of my friends, and he asked, "Hey, I know you're involved in homelessness. Let me tell you her story." So she is 57 years old. She's a grandmother. She's divorced. She put 4 kids through college. She is considering canceling her medical services because she can't afford them. And she has a daughter with a genetic disorder, sickle cell disease, and keeps her in a hospital 2 to 3 times a month for long periods. She's a breast cancer survivor herself. She has a child who's intellectually disabled and living independently, and she's the legal guardian. And her eldest daughter, Tyla, was diagnosed with bipolar and is a teacher's aide. Every year, another regular life emergency has befallen her, and our society needs to have the tools and the services to help people like this stay housed so they can heal and they can be productive. That's what it's all about. All right, thanks, Al.
Thank you, Aaron. I so appreciate you not only putting a very specific specific face on homelessness and housing insecurity, but to also highlight the diversity of experiences, particularly for those who live in Atlanta and the greater Atlanta area. Next, we are so excited to welcome Amy Burrow. She's the Senior Director for Homelessness and Community Engagement at the United Way.
Well, thank you. In typical social worker fashion, I have no notes and I'm wearing a t-shirt, so it's going to be great. Thanks for having me this morning, y'all, and thank you so much for being here. When I was in college, I would not have gotten out of bed before 10 a.m., so for all the students, thank you for showing up and committing to learning more about a social service that's very complex but has a very, very easy solution, so that's why it's really exciting. At United Way, we really drive all of our work, all of our investments, all of our programming around one simple question, and that's how are the children? So it's a simple question that has really, really telling answers, right? So if we ask, how are the children in Cobb County? How are the children outside KSU? They're housing insecure. They're homeless. They're hungry, right? So they're not well. So it's time for us to put some investment in our time, our talent, and our treasure in this area, in the metro Atlanta area, so that we can answer that question. The children are well, right? So that's how we drive all of our work. That's how we think about our investments. And when we think about our homelessness work, we've been working for 15 years, 20 years on a plan to really make homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring. And we've made a lot of great strides with some really innovative partners like Erin, Must Ministries and Center for Family Resources, which are both kind of right outside y'all's door. But we still have a long way to go. And I think the biggest problem is that most people are a little bit uneducated about what being homeless really means, right? There are definitely the kind of the picture you see in your mind when you think of a homeless individual. A lot of times that's a single man on the street. And while yes, those homeless people, those people experiencing homelessness at that level do exist, what we're not talking about enough are the families in extended stay hotels, are the families in their cars, are the families that couch surf and live somewhere different every single day just so they can make sure their kids get to school, so they get that breakfast and lunch and at least get fed, and at least for some hours of the day, right, are inside an environment, that they're not outside, that they're somewhere safe. That is what homelessness looks like in Metro Atlanta. That is the growing population of homelessness that we really need to focus on. But the great news is that all we have to do is house people, right? If we house people, they are no longer homeless. So even though becoming homeless is a very complex and individualized experience, the solution is the same. It is housing first. If we can have enough units, enough affordable housing, then we can actually solve homelessness. And we've seen this work with our veteran population, where we've made incredible strides and reached functional zero. And it is possible to do with every single population of peoples that are experiencing housing insecurity. And so this kickoff is a really great way to kind of educate yourself, your students, your family, your friends on how every person in this room, every person in this society can contribute to this solution of housing, right? And it's just give of your time, your talents, and your treasure. And that might be donating, that might be volunteering, it might just be advocating. If you teach one more person what homelessness looks like, then we get rid of a little bit more of that stigma, and we can work a little bit closer to that solution of just housing people. So it's actually very, very simple. So I'm really excited to work with y'all for the next 364 and 20 hours to work on this problem and really come up with some solutions. So thank you again for having me.
I want to thank the speakers for their time today. I am so happy that we have decided to really dig deep into this issue. The 365 days of learning and service will vary from year to year. We have a committee that's going to work to identify future topics that impact our community and our citizens. As noted, this spring we'll provide 4 service learning classes that will engage our students not only in learning, but also in service. We will also add additional service learning this summer for students to continue to learn about the issues of housing insecurity. We will also recognize students who undertake research projects that engage and expand their knowledge on this theme. This will include work with the KSU Symposium on Student Scholars. We're also partnering with our KSU Adobe Jam to encourage students to create films and other content connected to this year's theme of housing insecurity. We're going to offer a variety of speaker panels, including panels from students and alumni who will share their challenges that they've faced with issues around affordable housing and housing security. We also have panels of scholars who have investigated the housing crisis from different disciplinary perspectives. And finally, we plan on offering film showings that relate to the theme as well. Our service opportunities include our support for KSU's Hoot Out Hunger Drive that is going on right now. I encourage you to identify places in the Radau College where you can bring your cans and other donations, and we can donate these to CARES on campus. We will also have faculty and staff and students participate in the Uncanny Creation. It's a contest in which we will be building structures, and there'll be prizes for those who build those structures with cans that we'll later donate. Again, we're going to have a hygiene drive and participation in KSU's Days of Service, and I myself have volunteered to participate in Atlanta's Census of the Homeless come spring. The program allows KSU Radau College to develop and strengthen our relationship with our institutional and community partners in developing opportunities for students beyond just study. The program will have lasting impacts on our community as faculty, staff, and students take the lessons learned in the classroom and take those towards research projects and building collaborations to improve our community. Our students will gain insight and skills and allow them to pursue internships, volunteer experiences, and careers that really will create a robust civic life beyond graduation. I thank you all for coming today, and please join me in moving next door to or online to participate in the Office of Economic Development and Community Engagement's panel on this same topic of homelessness. And I thank everyone for participating today.